was nice meeting you.
It would be nicer if you were dead.
Alright, bye.
You know, when I first viewed the somewhat recent film Psycho Goreman, I was, as I always am, open to the idea that it may be a decent movie. What I didn't expect was it being near perfect. Released in 2020 as part of the Beyond Fest, and one of many things to be delayed by a certain virus, Psycho Goreman gained popularity for its unique blend of horror and comedy, along with its creative storytelling, and being a homage to 80s sci-fi fantasy films. The plot focuses on the title character, a deadly alien warrior, who, as luck may or may not have it, falls under control of a young, partly psychotic girl. Certain sites compare this to Planet Terror, and while I begrudgingly admit it is the better of the two grindhouse films, despite the other being made by Tarantino, I still prefer this.
Are you out of your fucking mind?
This is a crazy movie. It's absolutely insane, the violence is literally eye-popping, and the comedy is spot on. If you're into that, you really can't go wrong with this. It delivers everything it promises, goes way beyond that, but unfortunately this is not the kind of thing that gets actively pushed out to people. I know this goes against my interest, but I highly recommend immediately seeing this because it needs to be seen to be believed. I'm not somebody who says everything is the best or worst thing ever. This is truly deserving of the praise it's received. In my case, it blew me the fuck away due to just how good it is, and given we have an understanding of what we're getting into, let's take a look at Psycho Goreman and, I guess, validate what I just said.
On the distant planet of Gygax, a nameless evil reigned supreme.
We can just skip that. That's not important. Here's the real intro.
Okay, here's the deal, man. Winner is champion of the universe. Loser gets buried alive.
That's fair.
This would be the two, and in my opinion, very talented leads, Mimi, played by Nita-Josee Hanna, and Luke, played by Owen Myre. They're two siblings engaging in the fictional game titled Crazy Ball.
Crazy ball? 1. Crazy ball?
2.
Crazy ball?
Hey! What are you invertebrates doing?
What you really gotta like about this is it shows off exactly what you're getting. We haven't seen the alien yet or anything sci-fi, but the tone is immediately set. If you keep watching, you really can't complain. On top of that, apparently the being buried alive thing wasn't a joke, and in the process they find a gem causing something to be released. Their mom and dad come home, played by Alexis Hansey and Adam Brooks respectively, with some informative dialogue.
Is there such thing as monsters?
Well, here's the thing, Luke. In a lot of ways, humans are the real monsters. So I'd say yes.
Okay, I know this is gonna sound odd, but the dad may be the best character in this.
Back when I was in the Army, we used to play guns all the time. Except it was called the Iraq War. Meaning you killed people. She finished my delicious chicken. Isn't that all that really matters?
My lucky bat! Come on!
You think I'm lazy, PG?
I would still forgive you for this if you stopped right now.
I also like how Mimi, despite being somewhat insane, still has a relationship and is not just some defiant kid they ignore. Not that she's controlled or anything, but there seems to be a bond with the dad, and it's nice to see. They could have so easily just made the parents completely irrelevant, but that's not really something this movie does. Very few things happen in this for no reason, and even characters who are irrelevant are still given attention. Just look at the scene when the alien's introduced. You can't tell me they didn't put effort into this.
The hell did you say, buddy? Hey, you dickless shit. We already killed one asshole tonight, and we'll gladly do it again!
I don't even know where to begin with this. The fact that they think he's just a normal guy, or whatever dickless shit means. But I think the funniest thing is just the personality they have. We're not gonna be in this long, but even before the alien shows up, it's pretty damn funny.
Why the hell would you even grab this?
Suck my dick, asshole! It was dark! And that's a nice frame!
It's just feasible enough to still be hilarious, but not something too stupid like Maximum Overdrive. It's the perfect balance that consistently holds up, and I found that's not the most common thing to see.
Hey man, please. I don't want to die.
Yeah, the movie's not for kids. It's obvious based on the language, but it's quite violent. The two realize something crawled out the next day and investigate the old shoe factory to find out what. And believe it or not, they do address why they don't go to the police. Given that they're just kids, it wasn't really needed, but it's nice that they thought of that. They locate the alien, played by Matt Ninaber, and voiced by Steven Vlahos, currently identified as the Archduke of Nightmares.
Watching as everyone you hold dear is drowned in a sea of their own blood.
No, I am not a man.
However, it would seem since Mimi has the gem, she also has complete control. Yeah, he makes threats of what he'll do if he reobtains it, but that's not important right now. Instead, they must think of a name.
His name will be... Psycho Goreman! Or PG for short.
Something you may be thinking by now is this is not the most original idea, and no, it isn't, but the way it's presented is the key thing here. Despite how PG looks, he's still intimidating, you believe he wants to eternally torture them, but at the same time, Mimi comes across as being overly confident and not intimidated in the slightest. Luke isn't as fascinating, he kind of just plays the role you'd expect. He's not really into the idea, but he still goes along with it half the time, it's really all that's needed. But another thing that makes this stand out, despite not being the newest idea, is it's really damn funny.
But know that you will only receive pain.
Knock knock.
What?
Knock knock.
Have you succumbed to madness already?
I don't completely know why, maybe it's chemistry, but it's hard not to laugh at this. We then cut to Power Rangers?
Which is a notion that I find quite preposterous, I must say.
Preposterous.
Yeah, it's fucking Power Rangers, and it's not the only example of this. Just look at the music playing during the Crazy Ball scene. Tell me it's not similar. It may just be one part of it, but damn it, it's the same. So these aliens, known as the Planetary Alliance, discover that PG escaped imprisonment, a punishment for trying to destroy the galaxy in a rampage, after finding the gem, giving him immense power, and Pandora, played by Christine McCullough, the antagonist, I guess, says she'll kill him without even a trial. Then again, PG isn't completely bad, we do learn he was a slave before that even happened, but then again, there is the destroy the galaxy thing, so there really is no protagonist here. Almost nobody's good in this. They leave him alone with the TV, which he uses to contact his friends, the Paladins Obsidian, because the TV can do that. Speaking of technology, why can't movies ever get video games right? What the fuck even is this? They mention the game is new, they mention that, yet this is what we see? This came out in 2020, the same time people were ranting about the PS5 not being available. This is retro shit. On the bright side, we have this great line.
Time is a false construct that only exists for primitive beings unable to phase into the 9th dimension. Also, I got lost.
She then tells him to turn their friend Alistair, played by Scott Flynn, into some brain monster because she has a crush on him, I guess. So, as you'd expect by this point, nobody really cares about this, even the kids' parents don't seem to mind. But what's less expected is PG becoming part of the family. And also this. Can't say I saw that coming. Between the small bit of this montage I did show, and the violent death of children, this may get me in trouble. Fitting in with the movie's tone, nobody's bothered by any of this. And after seeing Luke being insulted, he tries to convince him to steal the gem, promising he'll spare him in return.
Give me the gem so we can both be free of her madness.
He refuses, and the next day, they dress him up like Dr. Grant, while explaining the rules of Crazy Ball, which are to like the video. You can also subscribe down below if you're enjoying the analysis of a movie you've probably never heard of. Should I start over? This is actually an important scene, I'll get to why that is later, but the cops finally decide to do something, proving to be a bad idea.
Resist the eclipse of my power again, and I will not show you the mercy I've shown your friend. Run.
Okay, that was intimidating. Despite how this may look, he is by no means a joke. At the same time, Pandora happens to come down in disguise to interrogate the remaining cop, and the Power Ranger villains finally show up. Okay, they're actually the Paladins Obsidian. I like how one of them is literally just a thing of body parts, but it turns out they prefer ruling themselves and decide to kill him.
I should have known better. Except for you, Cassius 3000. I always knew I couldn't trust you.
However, despite them being built up early on, they can't really do that much. Body part guy just throws blood at him. But Mimi isn't happy about Peachy telling them to kill her, and takes away his ability to move until he apologizes.
I am truly sorry, little creature.
I some reason buy that. It's a good thing too, because the fight is real entertaining. Everything about this is fucking amazing. The unique abilities, the memorable deaths, the bit when one of them tries to get Mimi to help and she somehow responds, despite it being a different language, is hilarious. And we have this badass line to finish it off.
Maybe in the afterlife, you can be crowned the king of fools.
Eats him alive, which is apparently honorable, but it turns out the blades were cursed and he's dying. The true genius of this movie really shows when they cut away from this to show us the parents arguing about Greg not doing anything. And what's amazing about this is it's just as engaging.
Out of this house!
Lazy? How dare you? You know how much I hate that word. My parents used it, my teachers used it, and now you? Shame on you, Susan.
If you've dealt with those kinds of people, you know it's exactly how they act. This movie is so good. Peachy contacts him to pick them up, and what follows would normally be nonsensical, and well, it is, but in this case it's okay. They go back to find Susan is now on Pandora's side, despite knowing who she is, pretty much, and Luke also joins them, sick of being bossed around. As mentioned earlier, Luke is the only problematic character in this movie, as a few minutes ago he seemed upset that he was dying, but I'm just gonna say it, when you have lines this good, it doesn't matter.
How's this for lazy, Susan?
This does lead to a dilemma, as the only way to save him is to give him back the gem, and the way Greg convinces her to do it may be one of the funniest things ever.
When I was your age, a weird guy in a van outside my school asked if I wanted to see his baseball cards. And he took me in the back of his van and showed me his giant collection of pristine baseball cards. I had a lot of fun.
So, I'm aware that I keep obsessing over the movie's humor. I'm aware that what I just showed is probably offensive to a lot of people, and I don't give a shit. That is the fucking funniest moment in this movie, and it's absolutely genius. The way it relates to their situation is perfect. It's impossible not to laugh. I don't keep track of awards nowadays because they kind of suck, but whoever thought that up should be given whatever's given for that. It's a perfect scene. It's that simple. Meanwhile, Susan decides to become one of them without any argument, and this is what I meant by nobody is forgotten in this movie. The fact that she joined them does kind of make sense because they're technically the good guys, and even though she's literally become an alien, it does fit in with the movie's tone. Any other film, she'd be irrelevant, but in this, they gotta have equal sides somehow. Speaking of which, he does agree to give back the gem, so long as he promises not to kill them, but it turns out it's not there. Obviously, Luke stole it, setting things up perfectly for the final battle.
That's some good parenting, honey. I wish I could help. I'm just too damn lazy.
However, the whole hand-to-hand thing doesn't really go anywhere, and it's against their code, so instead she agrees to whatever game they choose.
Okay, you three will be Team Suck. You two plus me will be Team Hero.
And of course it's Crazy Ball, mentioned just enough times in the movie to make it a decent payoff, exactly what it should be.
I don't understand sports.
Neither do I. Neither do I. My only issue is, and this may be my only problem with the movie, this is kind of pointless. The game ends the same way it did at the beginning, but Pandora just attacks them anyway, making the whole thing irrelevant, and in the end, they engage in a normal fight. Greg accidentally breaking his hand is also pointless, aside from the fact that he's been lying about it throughout the whole movie, so maybe it's a joke. And yeah, Mimi finally apologizes to Luke, which is nice, and Susan decides to stop being evil, but it doesn't really have anything to do with the game they just played. I'm not saying it shouldn't have been there, but it should have affected something. However, I wouldn't call it a normal battle, as he doesn't have a weapon, so instead he makes one out of her body, in which he probably could have just killed her in doing so, but that wouldn't be as climactic. She's given a warrior's death, and in a conclusion that I would usually despise, but not in this case, he gives her the gem back, saying he'll use the power of love to destroy the galaxy. Again, normally I'd hate this idea. It's similar to how hope was brought up at the end of God of War 3, but in this case it works. Just look at this ending, the rampage being broadcast on TV, followed by this. It's so ridiculous you can't help but love it. It's a friggin' masterpiece.
Well, we learned a lot today.
About what?
Unfortunately, YouTube says I can't talk about the mid-credit scene, which is again the best comedic bit ever that relates to this offensive issue, so make sure you don't miss it because it is, in fact, perfect. As is the movie itself, Psycho Goreman is as close to perfection as it usually gets. Obviously, it's not completely perfect. I had my complaints about the ending, a couple of minor flaws here and there, but again, who expected this? Unless you for some reason go into this not knowing what it is, I don't know how you could possibly not like it. Entertainment is the most important thing when it comes to films like this. Not everything has to make sense, you don't have to reason stuff out, but it has to be fun to watch, and this undoubtedly is. There's no dull parts in this, you never know what to expect, the pacing is spot on, and obviously the comedy is the highlight. Especially Greg, he has too many great lines to even count, and it's kind of amazing. And despite almost nobody being good, more in the insane to outright evil side, everyone is still relevant. Not one character forgotten, everybody has some purpose, a couple of motivations that don't make sense, but overall, you'd really have to nitpick this to find real flaws. I said that Luke is the least interesting, but he's still not bad or anything. There's no lack of talent to be found here, and everybody plays the role they're given almost perfectly. If you haven't caught on yet, it's very hard to say anything bad about this. It's everything you could want in whatever genre this is, and just a damn good time. Psycho Goreman gets my full recommendation as something you really should have seen before watching this. If you haven't, then that's a shame. I'm the analyst, and remember kids, don't actually get into anybody's white van. Or any van for that matter. That was a joke. So, you've made it to the end. That's an impressive feat indeed. Since you managed that, I guess check out the gaming channel, in which I cover a variety of gaming topics, like analysis videos, such as this one. If you're into that, then press the link in the description. It's that simple.